So today I'm driving all the way to Belfast from here in Hertfordshire in England, a journey of about 450 miles, and I'm going to video the whole thing just to show you at home what it is like living with an electric vehicle, what it's like to charge it, how we plan the route, and just generally how easy it is to live with it. I'm going there in my Porsche Taycan today. I'll talk about some of the benefits of having a very expensive car that actually isn't as expensive as you would think because of the tax benefits, but mostly it's to concentrate on the charging infrastructure. So we'll get right into it. So I'll just plan the route in my phone. So a lot of people wonder, how do you know where the chargers are, or how does that work? Well, there's an app on everyone's phone who has an electric car. Mine is the Porsche app. Every electric vehicle gives you an app to plan your route and tell you how much charge and to control the car. I have actually got 85% in my car because I didn't want to charge it fully. Because if I did that to 100%, then I wouldn't have to stop very many times, and I want to make a video about charging. So I put 85% in there last night while I was sleeping on my driveway. That's 200 miles worth. So let's plan the route. So go into the map. I want to go to Belfast. I'm going to get it to plan that route. So it's bringing me through Liverpool, but I want to go, oh no, that's right. That is the right route, which is bringing me via Holyhead. So that's perfect. So it's 2 legs of 2 hours. Well, it's got the ferry in there, so it's not really making much sense time-wise. So 10 hours altogether. But only need to stop once, just as I say, Birmingham for 13 minutes and then 9 minutes at Dublin. So happy with that route. Doesn't look to be very hard. I mean, I'll have to stop for that time to go to the toilet and eat something anyway. So I will send that to the vehicle, and that's it. Route is planned. We'll get in the car and hit the road. So as you can see, the phone has sent the route to the car. So all I need to do is tap start route guidance to Belfast. Let's see what it does. And there we go. You can see the range that's on there as well. So we can get to nearly Manchester just on the 85% charge that we have. And the 85%, as you can see there, is about 176 miles. So we'll press start. And there we go. Just needs to add the charging onto the route there, I think, and it'll tell us up here we arrive in Belfast with 10% charge. I can change that to whatever we want to arrive with, but there you can see we need to stop for 35 minutes, and actually 4 out of the 5 ultra high power chargers we can see as high power chargers are free, so we're confident we can stop there, and that's it. We will make a move. So we're 5 minutes away from the first charger stop. So I've been driving 2.5 hours and I've done 145 miles. That's since 7:30 this morning. My range left is 60 miles, so loads of spare in case this charger wasn't working. And I haven't checked this charger. I'm not even sure what it is. I think it's Ionity, but I'm letting the car guide me and trusting it. So it'll be interesting when we turn up what state it's in and what's going on, because I want this to be a true reflection of what it's like to have an electric vehicle. It's interesting, I'm averaging 3 miles per kilowatt hour, and miles per kilowatt hour is the new miles per gallon that people need to get used to. And for this car, that is quite good. Normally I average sort of 2.1 to 2.5. That's local driving. So motorway driving seems quite efficient in this car. I'll try and work out later what that means in terms of efficiency and compared to a nice car. But the journey's been absolutely fine, nice and smooth. Average speed has been 60 miles per hour, so made good headway. But really at 2.5 hours and 145 miles driven with 60 left,
You know, for me, that's lots of range, and I need to stop. I need a coffee. I need to go to the toilet. I'll have something to eat as well. So really, anyone who's driving more than 2.5, 3 hours, most people will stop that stage. And it's worth pointing out that, you know, I've done 7,000 miles in this car now since November last year. I would say 95% of all my charging is done at home. I only use the public charging network for really long journeys. That's not to say it's not important. It is. We can only do the long journeys because we do have a lot of infrastructure now. But for the vast majority of people, your car will be charged on your driveway overnight. Now, a lot of people don't have driveways. I think it's something like 25% of the UK households don't have access to off-street parking. So we need solutions for that. But for the 75% of people, charging overnight will be the norm, without a doubt. But for when long trips are needed, despite what you may read in the newspapers, we really do have a good network of charging, as this trip hopefully is about to demonstrate when I turn up. When I turn up, I'll video the charging and the plugging in and how it all works. It's just some speed cameras flashing people in front of me here because I'm in a 60 miles per hour zone. But I'm doing 60 miles an hour, of course. But yeah, so we will pick it up again at the charging station. So here we are at Stafford, and we have a row of 6 Ionity chargers right beside, well, if you can see it, a Starbucks. Perfect location. Let's have a see how difficult this is. So tap to start, connect your plug to the car. We can do that. Authorize payment. It says payment authorized, preparing to charge. There we go. So we're at wow, 220-ish kilowatts, which should be 763 times 288 for the engineers out there, because power is voltage times current. And there we go. So in 1 minute we've had, well, 2.5 kilowatt hours, which is about 5 and a bit miles. So that's really not going to take long to charge. That's it. How easy was that? I'm going to go and get a cup of coffee. See you soon. Okay, so we're back on the road. We were in there for a total of 32 minutes. We've left with 199 miles of range and 96% charge in the battery. And the battery's 37 degrees, which is quite warm, because the ultra high speed charging, because of the power being transferred, does create a lot of heat. And actually the cables that the DC cables from the charger to the car are actually liquid cooled, which is how we used to cool and insulate extra high voltage cables back in the 70s and 80s. We used mineral oil. We don't use oil these days. Where this video comes from is I put a post on LinkedIn last week comparing the price of this Taycan to my wife's Ford S-Max, and I stirred a bit of a hornet's nest with a lot of people trying to debunk my figures. So I just want to touch on that. So before we talk about the numbers, the first thing is cars are expensive no matter what cars you have. And secondly, they're even more expensive if you buy or lease new cars. Now, some companies insist, if you have a car allowance, for example, that you do have a modern car because they're safer and they have less emissions. So some people have to have new cars. And whether you like it or not, the vast majority of cars purchased in the UK are purchased through either personal contract hire or personal contract purchase. So when I compared the price of this Taycan, which is an expensive car, it's a £90,000 car if you try to buy it, to my wife's 2018 Ford petrol EcoBoost S-Max, this car comes out a net cost of £80 more expensive a month, which a lot of people try to to debunk on the thread, but they've ended up deleting their comments. And the reason for that is quite simple. This car is leased by my company, the company I work for, eSmart Networks, and they pay the lease company whatever it is to lease it a month, £1,200 or so, which is a lot of money. I pay that £1,200, so the company then withholds that £1,200 out of my salary per month. So I am paying for the lease of this car out of my gross salary before tax is deducted. So the effect of that is I am saving nearly 50%, because that £1,200 is only costing me half of it, really. Less than half is missing from what goes into my bank account every month. So because of that, and because it's a company car, technically, the company only pays 50% VAT on the lease payments, whereas I would pay 100% VAT on my wife's, or my wife pays 100% VAT on her car, and I'm paying for the insurance and the tyres and the servicing out of my gross salary as well. When you wrap all that up together, and the fact that electric is so cheap compared to petrol at the minute, when you wrap all that together and you make some simple assumptions that if you compare the two cars at 12,000 miles per year, electricity at 29 pence per kilowatt hour, petrol of 170 miles per gallon, then when you do those sums, this car is a net cost of £80 per month more than the S-Max. The S-Max is a £30,000 car. This is a £90,000 car. To me, the £80 is worth it. And yes, this is only possible because the benefit in kind is 2%. That's very, very low on electric cars. But that's because the government are trying to incentivise fleets and company drivers to buy electric vehicles. And because fleets make up such a big portion of sales, that then ultimately will drive down the second-hand price of the cars. So while the government are offering these incentives, I, for one, will, and I'm taking part, and I am able to drive a Porsche Taycan for Ford S-Max money. Simple as that. Anyone who thinks my numbers are wrong, please get in contact. Put a comment below the video, or give me a shout on LinkedIn. Many have tried, but no one has managed to disprove the figures yet. So on the journey then, we've, as I said, we've 196 miles of range. I don't know how far it is to Holyhead, because this is telling me to Belfast, which is 300 miles, but I won't be driving across the Irish Sea. I will only have to charge one more time. It's telling me to stop at another Ionity on the north outskirts of Dublin, and then that will do me. And I will be home with a charge of 56%, which is pretty healthy, I think. It'd be interesting to see what the charging infrastructure in Northern Ireland is like. So I am in Belfast, or in Northern Ireland, for a week. And I see and read that the charging infrastructure is not good. We're actually going to talk to someone about that when we're there, and we've got plans of our own for installing charging infrastructure in Northern Ireland, but clearly there's a good infrastructure being built out in England. We have certainly installed hubs in Wales as well, although it seems to be limited to the southern bits of Wales, and Scotland seems to be pushing ahead as well. So really interesting to see what Ireland and Northern Ireland are like. So I will pick it up again when we get to Holyhead. Well, here we are at Holyhead. So altogether, driving 5.5 hours. We've done 295 miles, an average 3 miles per kilowatt hour. And it's worth remembering we did have to charge for half an hour in that, but we do have 107 miles of range left. So I defy anybody who would drive 5.5 hours and not stop for at least 15 minutes, because really, if you were driving here, you would only need 15 minutes charge, whereas I'm going on to Belfast after this, so that's the reason I needed to charge for half an hour. But you can drive 400 miles, 500 miles, and only stop for whatever time it takes for a cup of coffee. How is that not enough range for the vast majority of people? I think it is. Now we need to find where the ferry terminal is. Well, we're in Dublin Port, and I've no idea how to turn the car into kilometres per hour, which is what the speed limit is, because the distances in Ireland are kilometres rather than miles, so I'll have to be careful of that. We have 111 miles to go. We have 99-mile range, so that's not going to work, but we always knew we had to stop twice because I didn't charge the car fully last night. We're going to stop and charge at another Ionity, and I've let the car pick this. Car saying I will only need to stop and charge for 4 minutes, which makes sense when there's nearly the range in the car. So we'll see, is Ionity working in Ireland, and we'll pick it up then. We're just pulling off to our charger. I have to say, I passed about 15 DC chargers here, and the car tells you if they're free or not, and there was loads free. So first impressions in Ireland, in the south of Ireland, Republic of Ireland, is the charge is quite good, just from what I've seen so far. Be interesting to see what this high-powered charger site's at. The car's saying I only need it for 4 minutes to get me to Belfast with 9% charge left. And you can set the target charge at your destination. So this is Ionity City North Dublin, which unsurprisingly is to the north of Dublin City. And I think there's 2 chargers here. And according to the car, both chargers are free. I mean, that's a really useful feature, that the car tells you what's free. And yeah, I can see them, there's 2 here. And they're both free, and they're both in a Circle K forecourt. I haven't seen Ionity in a forecourt like this before. So this has got 2 chargers, but it's got space for 6. And there's like 4 blanks there, which is interesting. Right. Let's see what this has in hold for us. Start, insert plug into vehicle. Yep. Yeah, so really, I mean, the lead needs to be longer. Connect, okay. Right, we're going to scan this QR code. Let's see what happens. Charger number 1. Well, I mean, that's dodgy there. So this is charger number 2, but it automatically took me to charger number 1. So I'm going to change it to charger number 2. Yeah, because this other one is 1, so I'm going to... I suspect there's a mistake here, but we'll see. Start charging. Gonna go Apple Pay because it's easy. It's going to take €1. That's went through. Charger 2 connected, waiting for connection. Oh, authorization. Well, €86p. Charging is delayed until power is available. Okay, there we go. I've noticed this on the grid serve chargers as well, that it's got a comma where there should be a decimal point because it's German. So ABB we don't use commas for, in the UK or in Ireland, that is 1036 kilowatt hours, which I don't think it is. And there we go, we're charging at 65 kilowatts. The car is saying it's taking 232 kilowatts, which is 10 miles per minute, but who understands what miles per minute means? But 232 kilowatts is absolutely phenomenal. Thoughts on the charging experience then? I mean, it's not as slick as it should be. It's just not as slick as it should be. That charger doesn't match up with what the app said. And it takes a while to get going, but it's working. There's absolutely no problem with it working. It's just, things just need to be a bit slicker. But the quality of the infrastructure is good. It's really high powered. I mean, 350 kilowatts is a phenomenal amount of power. And you can see how this works here. The AC is actually changed to DC in these AC to DC converters full of power electronics there. Normally we fence them off in the UK when we install them, but they're in the open here. So that's it. I only need 5 minutes charging here. Took longer to connect the charger. So I'm going to go and grab a cup of coffee. By that time the car will be done. And I'll see you in Belfast. Welcome to eSmart Network's offices here in rainy Belfast. This is actually the famous Alexandra graving dock or dry dock that belonged to Harland and Wolff and built many famous ocean liners that plied the route from the UK over to the United States. So I actually chose a hotel, the Titanic Hotel in Belfast, which is beside our offices here at Harland and Wolff, because it had electric vehicle chargers. So on booking.com, I went on there and filtered EV chargers. Didn't say what they were, but I gave it a go anyway. So I got there, and I haven't filmed it because it's a private property. It's an underground car park, but the EV chargers are 2 3-kilowatt chargers, and you're only allowed to be on them for 3 hours. So what if you get 9 kilowatt hours out of them? So, you know, really, that's no good at all. So I think more and more people are going to want to select hotels based on the fact that they can charge their electric vehicles, but 3 kilowatt charging is absolutely no good to anybody, I would suggest. So I've just looked in the Porsche planning system, and there is actually some 350 kilowatt chargers apparently around the corner. So I'm going to give them a go and see what happens, although if it's hammering down with rain like this, I might stay in the car for a bit. Here we go. A couple of 350 kilowatt chargers. One's got a red light, one's got a green light. I think I'll go to the green light. And I also think I will wait until this torrential rain passes. So I'll be back then to see how it goes. So filming this from inside the car because, well, it's raining and the camera can't get wet. So, don't know who manufactures these, but anyway, touch to start, present your card, authentication and process, authentication successful, plug into the vehicle, initiating charge. Let's get back into where it's dry. Well, that took about 8 seconds. Okay, there we go. We're charging 55 kilowatts, 56 kilowatts. The battery is quite cold. I was in the offices and it's quite cold out today. So yeah, the battery's only 20 degrees, so it's not going to be a particularly fast charge. That's a lot of people don't realize, is that how quick the battery charges is directly related to the temperature of the battery. It needs to be quite warm. If I had have told the car was coming here sooner, the car would have preheated or preconditioned the battery, but I didn't tell the car that. It was only when I didn't get the charging at the hotel. So the battery's only 19 degrees because the car's been sitting for a few hours. So we're at 60 kilowatts, but I'm a 70% charge, so I don't really need much more charge, but great experience. So this is a Porsche dealership in Belfast. I think these are 350 kilowatt chargers. Yeah, I think I'll nip in and get a coffee while the car charges.
So that is the end of my road trip across England, Wales and both parts of Ireland. I now have a week ahead of me working in sunny Belfast. Not really, very sunny most of the time, but it does bring easy access to some of the most monumental countryside and views found anywhere across the British Isles. I hope this video has given you a bit of a flavour of what living with an electric vehicle is really like, and in particular on long journeys, which does seem to be the thing that puts people off who I speak to. Just to recap how the trip went, well, it was a total journey of 400 miles on the road, ignoring the sea crossing between Holyhead and Dublin, so the whole trip driving took about 7 hours in total. Now, I only charged the car to 85% the night before because I really wanted to get some charging for the video, and I suppose in a way that tells you all you need to know about electric vehicles on long journeys. I only had to stop twice, once for half an hour just outside Stafford, where I had a coffee and some lunch, and then a very brief 10-minute stop in Dublin, just about enough time to grab a sandwich and go to the toilet. I don't think that's bad really, and in all honesty, I needed to stop anyway to do those things, so it hasn't added any time onto my journey whatsoever. What about cost? Well, cost is important, so I think we should compare the cost of the electric vehicle journey to what a nice car would have cost. So when I left, I had a battery charged to 85%, which cost me £22.70 to charge on my home electricity bill. But bear in mind that that is with a standard Octopus tariff. If I was in one of their specialist EV tariffs, that only would have cost £12. So I must get around to doing that. On the journey, I averaged 3 miles per kilowatt hour, and I used 133 kilowatt hours to cover the 400 miles. But because I started with lots of charging the battery, I only needed 65 kilowatt hours from public chargers, which cost me a grand total of £19.60 with Ionity. And with Ionity, it is only 30 pence per kilowatt hour for their members. So total journey cost was £42, which works out at about 11 pence per mile. Now, if I had done the same journey in a petrol car, assuming 45 miles per gallon and petrol at £1.45 per litre, it would have cost me 60 quid, and honestly it would not have been any quicker, and clearly there is less total emissions from an electric vehicle than a nice car, and if anyone disputes that, well, there should be another video on that in the future perhaps. But my main takeaway, life is better with an electric vehicle, even on long journeys. Thank you for watching. Please do leave us a comment as that helps us motivate to make these videos, and remember to like and subscribe. See you next time.